Many years before I went to India, I was up in the mountains in New Mexico, in America, spending the winter at this commune up there in the mountains. And while we were up there, we heard about a guy from New York who had been to India and he learned how to meditate. So we thought, wow, we ought to go meet this guy. And he was living just down the mountain from where we were. So me and a bunch of other people, we drove down to his cabin. And he was very nice, let us in. We sat there with him for an hour or two, and my friends were talking to him, asking questions and everything. I was kind of hanging out in the back. I didn't say anything. And then we were leaving, and I was the last one to go out the door, right? And as I was about to go out the door, he grabbed me. And he looked at me and he said, you have to find out why it is you can't give yourself 100% to whatever you're doing. Oh boy, you ever see, what is a taxidermist? Do you know what a taxidermist is? Somebody who stuffs animals, dead animals, puts them on the wall. That's what I felt like. I nailed me to the wall. How he knew that about me, I couldn't believe it, And I tell you, that was how many years ago? That was in 1741. It was in 1969, or 69. I feel like it was 10 minutes ago. Have you ever noticed that you can't give yourself to whatever you're doing? That's a question. Yeah. Really? And it doesn't really matter what it is. There's always like another story going on, We're talking to ourselves and, this is supposed to be better. And we have to do a little bit of this or a little bit of that. We can't do it. And that was so many years ago, and I still notice, it's amazing because I notice when I'm not really doing something. So, chanting is a practice that trains us to be able to give ourselves completely to that moment. Little by little. So you're singing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and you're thinking, oh God, when is this going to be over? The same thing over and over again. It's so boring. And then you go back to singing, okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, oh my God, what's on television? What am I doing? And then you come back, away and back, coming back, going away. And even if you want to give yourself to it, well, we can't. It's not so easy. And so, what do you think is going to be possible if we can't give ourselves completely to what we're doing? Not much. Not much. Not in terms of inner growth. My guru, Maharaja, he used to say, go on, sing your lying Ram Ram. One of these days you say it right once, the real Ram will come. So we're lying, Shri Ram Jaya, we don't know what Shri Ram is from a hole in the wall. We don't know Ram, we don't know Krishna, we don't know any of these, what these really mean. And nor can we really give ourselves to the practice. Have you noticed that or not? Yeah. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. So, it's a mind training, it's training. That's what practice is, it's training. You're singing, and then you notice, oh man, I'm supposed to be singing, I've been thinking about that other thing. Oh, let me go, okay, so you're not there, okay. And then you notice again, gone. Then you come back. Every time you come back, they've proven now with science, they've proven that the neural pathways in the brain change. They actually get deeper. So that pathway of returning to oneself, waking up, is actually deepened through the repetition of coming back again and going away and coming back, going away and coming back. And it's a really big thing, you know. It's not just little nothing. Most people, they get born, they go to school, they drink some beer, and they die. And that's it. And they're not here for a minute. They're not here for 1 second of their lives. My friend and I were in a graveyard the other day, having our graveyard talks. And I remember I was looking around at all the graves, all the tombstones, and I thought to myself, you know, I wonder if any one of these people who were born here had ever had a moment of waking up in their whole life. Was there anybody? And the next thing I saw was a tombstone right over here, and on it said, in English, by the way, it said, "Stay rude. Stay angry." And I guess, oh, that's the answer. You know, we don't realize what an incredible thing it is to be paying some attention to our hearts, to try to wake up. We just kind of, you know, I'll meditate a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll do some yoga. But not a lot of people think about that stuff. And what that means is that there's some part of us that actually knows it's possible to free ourselves from suffering. That's a really big thing. Most people have no clue. And so they go through their lives creating more suffering and more pain and more anger and more anguish and more of all those things. And they never know there might be a way out of that. So if you're in this room today, either your partner dragged you here against your will, or some part of you knows that it might be possible to find out what this is all about. That's the deal. Okay, see ya. Nothing more to say. Go do it. Get out of here. But what are we going to do? What are you going to do? Put on holy clothes? Grow your hair long? Grow a beard? Shave your head? What are you going to do? That's all bullshit. Excuse me. I don't care if you do it. That's all outer changes. They mean nothing. If our hearts don't long for real love, nothing we do in the outside world is going to make that happen. No matter how much coffee I drink, my heart will not open unless I long for it. But I long for it so I can drink as much coffee as I like. Praise the Lord. Even if my liver explodes. So, the longing for love is the only requirement that's necessary to have. Without that, we have nothing. The longing to be free. The longing to stop banging our heads against the wall. The longing to stop trying to squeeze water from a stone. Without that, we don't have anything. And that longing doesn't come from nowhere, by the way. That longing is absolutely and totally the result of our own actions in the past. Whatever past you want to imagine. That longing is the knowing that there's more possible in life and we have to find it. That's a huge thing. If you don't have that, you have nothing, and if you have that, you have everything. Because it's as if the tree's been cut. Sooner or later, it's going to fall. Well, I'm not going to just keep talking. We have a microphone, and we're going to have discussion. If anybody has something to say, raise your hand, and the microphone will, oh, look at that, I haven't even finished my sentence. The microphone will hit you over the head and give you a confession. You still going to raise your hand?
I'm interested to know what your sadhana looks like. Do you chant every day? Do you practice asana, pranayama, or do you just chant? Or what is your sadhana? Maybe what inspires you when I can read it.
What is this, the National Enquirer or something? All right, sit down. Next question. What inspires me every day is exactly what's going on right here. Is that I get a chance to sing. I get a chance to practice with you in whatever form you are, in whatever city I'm in. And this is the best thing I could do for myself. And if you didn't come here, I'd just be in my room watching TV. And this is better. I think. This is much better. And that's what inspires me. I don't suppose you could look on the internet and find out all about my life, but I wouldn't do it unless you're over 18. But I never thought that I'd be able to do, I never thought that anything I actually wanted to do would be good for me, if you know what I mean. Most of my life was dedicated to killing myself in one way or another, or stomping on my heart. So this is the best, this is great. I'm very inspired by this. So thank you for coming. And what was the second part of the question? What do I do every day? I wake up. I try to wake up every day. At least once a day, I try to wake up. I don't know what I do. Don't even ask me. I have no idea. I sing a little every day, do a little bit of this and do a little bit of that. Drink some coffee. It's not so much what I do, but it's how I do what I do and why I do what I do. The most important thing is to live a life that includes everything. To live in a way that everybody's a part of you. And to seek to understand that everything that we see during the day, every body that we see, is actually our own version of that, so to speak. Like I look out at you, right, and I see you all. Some of you have more hair than others, some of you sit like this, some of you sit like this, some of you are wearing certain kind of clothes, somebody's got a hat on, somebody's got a beard. And unconsciously, I think I know who you are, right? I know who you are. I see you, I say, yeah, I got a story. I make up a story about you in my mind. Just automatically. I don't think about it. Just, yeah, that guy looks dangerous. Like I remember once I was in Norway, right? And I was doing a workshop. And there was a guy sitting right in the middle of the room the whole day, 3 hours, like this. For 3 hours, he didn't move. He's like, and I thought, this guy's gonna kill me. And so then the day the workshop was over and people lined up to say hello, and I saw this guy was in line. He was like 5 people back in line. I think, and I'm trying to smile and think about the person who's talking to me. Hi, and I'm thinking, now he's 4 people back. Now he's 3 people back. And now he's standing right in front of me like this. And he goes, "This was great!" For 3 hours, I was writing my will. I was trying to say goodbye to everybody in my mind, you know. And I was wondering, was he going to slice me up or just shoot me? You know. It was totally ridiculous. It was my version. And we do that every day, all day. We never stop doing that because we don't know how to stop doing it. We don't even know we're doing it. We wake up in the morning, we start writing, producing, directing, and acting in the movie of me. Everybody's in my movie, and I'm playing all the parts. And then we write reviews, which we read and get more depressed. We can't just push a button and stop it. It doesn't work like that. And we don't even see it, so how can we even do anything about it, right? So, once we start doing some practice, once we understand that we're absolutely helpless in terms of our thoughts and emotions, that we live in total reaction mode all the time, bouncing off of this one, bouncing off of that one. Then we want to get free of that. And that's exactly what spiritual practice is about. Freeing us from all our different versions and allowing us to see things clearly and truly, to see the truth. And the truth is that, like my guru used to go like this all the time. He would go, "What? What's he saying?" Because he knew everything. Ugh. Everything. Past. He knew the past. And so when he go like this, we thought, what's he doing? What am I getting busted for? Something I did? Something I'm gonna do? Or something I'm thinking about doing? So I said, finally, so we said, "Baba, what does it mean when you do that?" He goes, "What does that mean?" He said, "Many names, many forms, all one. All one. Subject, all one." Oh, really? So, I don't know about you, but I see a lot of different people in this room, right? We all think we are who we think we are, right? Don't you? You think you're you, I think I'm me. That's what they call totally delusional. Because that one is the same in each one of us. Each one of us has that spark of love, of truth, of reality, and it's the same in every person. Just like the moon is reflected in many different pools and lakes all over. It's the same light, just like that. But we think we're the lake. We think we're the water. We think we're everything. We don't see that light. But what's looking out of our eyes is that light. That's the reflection of whatever you want to call it. Love, real love. And as we do these practices, we free ourselves from all those birds of prey that we call thoughts that go through and grab us, that we get no vote over, no vote whatsoever. It's pretty amazing that we can even get from A to B in a day. We have no vote over how we feel and what we think. The thoughts come, we believe them. That's the definition of insanity, by the way. So, how do we get a vote? How do we get a vote? Well, when you're chanting and you notice you're gone in dreamland, that moment of noticing is a miracle. That moment of noticing, you came back, you woke up for a second and you noticed you've been gone. And then you start hearing the chant again, you start singing again. And then you notice you've been gone. That noticing, that waking up, is also the result of our own actions. And the only thing that can create waking up is waking up. These names that we chant, they have extraordinary power within them, extraordinary being and presence. And they pull us back. They move us deeper into our own being. And eventually, we don't get so caught in the thought. We don't identify with it. We don't go away for so long. It comes, it goes. It comes, it goes. We stay here. Right now, if these thoughts are like clouds, we're identified with the clouds, and we don't see the sky. We don't see the space in which everything is held. These names are the names of that space, the names of that presence, that being in which we are all held. And so through the repetition of these names, we are released into that, back into that again and again. Just like a fish you catch in a lake, you release it back into the lake. We're let go. We're freed again and again by these names. That's what all spiritual practices do. They help us become ourselves. They help us recognize ourselves again and again.
Do you see that as the homework to read the stories of Sita and Rama, to sing it deeper?
You know how many times I got kicked out of school for not doing my homework? I don't like homework. Well, that's a good question. I would say it depends who you ask. Because there are many different lineages, many different traditions. There are many different ways of introducing practice to people. There are many different ways and there are many different ways that people will allow themselves to do some practice. Like some people don't want to know about it, they just want to watch their breath. Fine, knock yourself out. Some other people are interested in those beings, you might call the deities, the Hindu deities. So they read about them and that helps them, that kind of lubricates their hearts a little bit and helps them pay attention and gives them some background, like you said. Other people don't do that. I've lived in India like more than half my life. And I can't say that I believe that a stone could be alive. You know, they have these murtis in India, statues. A murti is a statue that's been, that life has theoretically been brought into that statue. And that statue not only represents the deity or God or a certain form of God, but has actually a part of that in there, right? I mean, that's a belief that's very prevalent in many different religions. I spent half my life in India, and I just can't actually honestly tell you that I believe that 100%. But that doesn't stop me from repeating the names. Because for me, the names are something else. You know, there was a great saint in India named Kabir, who was a famous singer and poet. And he used to say, my Ram is not that prince. You know, he said, his Ram was that name which is the whole universe, which holds the whole universe. It's just a question of how you approach it, you know? And the best practice is the one you do. If you don't do it, nothing happens. So if you like the names, if you like the stories, read them. If you don't, why would you do it? If you don't like it, why would you do it? Because somebody tells you to? Okay, that's reasonable in some situations. If you respect someone and they tell you that this is good for you, that this will help you, well, I give it a shot. But you have to pay attention to your own heart as well. One time I was, some friends of mine who were yoga teachers asked me to sing to their students. What are they called? Teacher trainees, right? And so we were all sitting together, and they introduced me, and they tried to explain a little bit about chanting, and they had all the pictures of all the deities around the wall, on the wall all around. And one of the people said to his trainees, if you don't know the deities, you'll never get blah, blah, blah. I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to disappear so fast I couldn't tell you. I was appalled that anybody would lay such a trip on anybody like that. I couldn't believe it. So that's what I meant about depends who you ask. For me, I love those stories. I mean, they're incredible teaching mechanisms, incredible teaching vehicles. They're so deep, and they're so evocative. They bring out so many different emotions and different understandings about life. But would I say you have to do that in order to progress on the path? I wouldn't say that. I would say you have to do what you have to do. And you have to find out what that is. Good luck. I love those stories. And it's like, and there's so many songs, you know, they write songs like in Christianity, they write gospel songs, like Jesus met the woman at the well, a story about this and that and what happened. And in India, they write stories about Hanuman and Ram and all the things that Krishna did. And they're beautiful songs, wonderful. But is it required? I don't know. Not for me. But I like it. So, I think, personally, I think the name is enough. I think the name has enough juice all by itself to take you all the way to liberation without knowing anything about it. That's what I think. So, that's what I think. And that's the way I do the practice. Because my thoughts have driven me crazy my whole life, right? And I just don't want them to keep driving me crazy. So I repeat these names, and when I notice that I'm gone, I come back. I keep coming back to this sound, this sound, and that things happen from within. These names will open up things, and you have your own experience from within. It's not really, if you're looking for particular experiences, somebody says you're going to see this guy that's blue that carries a flute and has a peacock feather. What if he didn't dress that way that day? And he walks right by you. You missed him because you were looking for something else. I just want to be here You know, I want to start with what I know, which is my own bullshit. And I want to let go of that. That's how I approach it. There you go. You all right? Okay. You still here? Okay. Now that's not to say that, you know, that I cry when I hear some of these songs, you know. There's this incredible bhajan. These are called bhajans, like these gospel songs in India. About Hanuman, you know. How he jumped over the ocean, how he killed all the demons, how he did all this, and how never for a second did pride arise in his mind. Did he, not for a second did he think he was the doer, right? And then this and that, and then there's, in the song it says, it describes all these things. In the last verse of the song, this poet, Tulsidas, says, I'm telling you, I'm telling you the praises of Hanuman in the very words that came out of Ram's mouth. In the very words that the Lord spoke. I get shivers when I think that. But do I think you have to get shivers? No. Okay? No? Hello? You okay? Okay. I got the thumbs up.
And I'm just wondering how you can live happily if other people are suffering, like your family.
Yeah, that's hard stuff. But you know, if we allow that kind of suffering to destroy us and destroy our hearts, what good is that to anybody? How does that help your kids or your husband or even you? Right? So perhaps it's possible to bear suffering, to bear our own suffering and suffering of others without it destroying us completely. The Dalai Lama was once asked by some reporter or something. He said, "Your Holiness, are you happy?" And he said, "Well, you know, I guess you could say I had a hard life. I was taken from my parents at an early age and trained in a monastery. I had to take over the reins of my country when I was 13 years old. And I could only watch helplessly as the Chinese invaded and started killing millions of my people. And I had to escape from my country. And I'm living here in India as a guest. And I've watched the Chinese murder millions of my own people." He said, "The Chinese have taken everything from me. Am I going to let them take my happiness too?" So you have a vote, you know, or at least we need to work on getting a vote. Because where are you going to go where there's not going to be suffering? If you look, it's everywhere. Yes, the suffering of those close to us touches us in a particular way. And it really hard to deal with. But anywhere you look, you'll find suffering. So it's up to us to grow our hearts until our hearts become as wide as the world. And anything can come in and be there with us. It doesn't have to destroy us. You know, the great beings, the great saints, they see everything. They see everything. But it doesn't destroy them. It doesn't destroy their hearts, and they suffer too, but they don't suffer the way we suffer. So the kind of emotional intensity that it brings out when a parent or a child or someone close to us is really in bad shape. You have to bear it. You have to find a way to live with it. There's no other option. If we let it destroy us, then why would we do that? Aren't we also worthy of happiness regardless of what's going on? Or don't we cherish ourselves enough to find a way to be present with suffering without it destroying us? That's a good question. We each have to answer that. Because there's nowhere we're going to go where there isn't going to be. You know, that's what Buddha said, you know. He came out of the jungle and he said, hey everybody, hello. Guess what? There's suffering. Deal with it. You can't run from it. There's nowhere to go. You know, so it won't kill you. You might think it's going to kill you, but it won't. And you can really be with your mother. And you keep your eyes open. Don't look away. Be there with that person. And it's called bearing witness. Not easy to do. But that's what we have to work on. When we bear witness to a suffering, it means that we let go of our version of that. We don't project onto it. We don't react. We have to let go of our reactions. We have to let go of our, oh, I wish it wasn't like this. You know, to be with that person. That person needs us to be with them. But if we're just like, our programs are running, we're not really with them. To be with somebody and being with somebody and not, means dropping all the evaluation and the judgments and the likes and the dislikes and really giving ourselves to the moment, to that person. That's what that person needs. Doesn't need our bullshit, they have enough of their own. They don't need our stuff, they need us. And so that's why we do practice in the first place, because we don't want to suffer and we don't want to see other people suffer. And we need to find a way that we can actually be present in the world and be available for people and for ourselves. So, the devotees of Maharaji, my guru, Nimkoro, they looked upon him as Hanuman himself. That's how they saw him. So I thought, wow, you know, if we learned this, we could sing it to him. Because we knew secretly he wanted to spend more time with the Westerners. It was a secret. So we thought we'd help him out. So me and my friend Ramesh Radas, we learned the Hindi alphabet. We didn't know it. We had to learn that. And then we went through the thing. It's a long prayer. It's 40 verses. Every word, every letter, we had to write it out, sound it out. It took all rainy season. We were up in the mountains. It took like about 4 months. And then an Indian friend of ours taught us a melody for it, you know. And then we sang it for Maharaji. And he liked it. So we kept singing it. So for you to learn it, the best way is just to keep reading it. You don't have to try to memorize it, just read it. Okay. And now, here's the question. Where's my friend over there? Is it necessary to know what it means? Well, yes and no. I mean, why read this long thing if you don't know what it is? It may be a manual to fix a car, or it might be how to fix your refrigerator if it breaks. It happens to be a prayer to Hanuman. So maybe we should figure out a little bit about what it means. So that's a good idea. The most important thing for me when I chant the Hanuman Chalisa is that I'm recognizing that I'm offering this prayer to my Guru, right? I'm connecting. I may not know what every word means exactly, but I have the feeling that I'm connecting with that, and I'm offering this prayer to him. And I've been doing it for 81, 91, 2001, 2011, 48 years. By now, I kind of know what it means. It took a long time. But I was doing it all the time anyway. So, and also, it is mantra. It is not just a prayer, it's mantra. And mantras work to some degree whether you understand them intellectually or not, because they're sound vibrations. So it is a mantric hymn, prayer. So it does have juice, no matter how you do it. But in this case, when you do understand what it means, you actually, it brings you, it allows you to focus more in a certain kind of way. Because there's a difference between prayers and mantra. Prayers involve some conceptual understanding. You know who you're praying to, or what you're asking for, or what you're saying. You're aware of that because you're doing it. But mantra is not necessarily, and I say necessarily, required to understand the meaning, because some mantras don't have actual conceptual meanings. There are beach mantras that don't really have meaning like that, conceptual meaning. So, just do it. And we'll do it later. That's how we're going to end the afternoon with the Chalisa. Okay, next victim.
So a couple of years ago, I went into my friend's bedroom and something was written in Sanskrit. And I asked her, what does it mean? And she said, it's written, give yourself without losing yourself.
Wait. Go back and say that again. You wandered into your son's bedroom?
A friend's
bedroom.
I don't have a son, but it was a friend.
Okay.
So something was written in Sanskrit.
You always wander into friends' bedrooms? Just wondering. It's Germany. I know it's not America.
I think she just had one bedroom. It was a small flat.
Yeah. Okay. All right, go ahead.
So it was written on the wall, give yourself without losing yourself.
Give yourself without losing yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a couple of years ago, and usually I don't necessarily stick to sentences I read. They bring up an emotion in me, and then I tend to forget them. But this particular sentence has been, well, I've been inquiring during meditations on this phrase. I think I've understood it on a rational level, but I haven't really understood it on a heart level, what it actually means to give yourself without losing yourself, because I feel that we tend to end up, especially in romantic relationships, that we lose ourselves in something because we give ourselves.
Maybe.
So yeah, I think it would be interesting to see your perspective.
The self isn't a thing you can give or not give. The self is who you are, your true nature. Everybody has self, their self. It's not something you give away or get from other people. It's who you are, your basic, deepest being. But when we're talking about egos, and personalities, that's a whole other story. You know, we believe that our Guru was enlightened and that he had become one with God. So we thought we'd ask him, you know, how do you do that? You know, he seemed to like us. I thought he'd tell us, you know. So we said, Maharaji, how do you find God? He said, serve people. What? What about, you know, meditation? So, okay, well, Baba, how do you raise, you know, Kundalini? He said, feed people. What? What is this guy talking about? Maybe we. He said, love everyone, serve everyone, and remember God. He never said, meditate your ass off. He never said, stand on one toe for 350 years. He never said anything about anything to do with me becoming free. He said, don't think about yourself. So that's very interesting. One would think that one had to think about themselves in order to do anything. But all we do is think about ourselves. He was saying, think about other people. Don't obsess about yourself all the time. There's no use. And most of us do spiritual practice. And what happens is we just get bigger egos. Wow, this is a really good meditation. It's been 3 minutes. I better write this down. Yeah. Hey, Joe, guess what? I'm having a great meditation. Okay, I'll call you later. We are totally incapable of doing anything to help ourselves. So we might as well not think about it. Think about other people. When you're thinking about other people, you can't think how screwed up you are. It doesn't matter to you at that moment. Really. At one point, when I was living in the temple, I was so unhappy I was going to kill myself. I was going to jump in the river. It was only 6 inches deep. But, you know, I figured I'd get my head under a rock or something, I could do it. And then Maharaji called me over and he said, what are you going to do? Jump in the river? He wasn't taking this very seriously. He said, you can't kill yourself. You can't kill yourself. Worldly people don't die. That's us, by the way. Worldly people don't die. Only Jesus died the real death. What is he talking about? Why? Why did he die the real death? He never thought of himself. The thoughts of me and mine never arose in that being. He's a saint, a bodhisattva, a realized being. There's no me left. It's just one. It's just God. It's just presence being. There's no personal agenda anymore. And everything a being like that does is for the sake of other people. Why do you think the saints stay here? They don't have to stay here. They can go. They stay here so we can get a hint of what might be possible. Without that, what do we have? How would we even know that anything's possible if these great beings didn't leave a trail for us to follow? So, the only thing you lose by giving yourself is your unhappiness. So, now, relationships, you know, come on. Relationships? They call them relationships because it's between two things that are relating, doing business. You give and you get. You don't give, you don't give. Or you give this, and you give something you don't want, then you don't give what you don't want, then the person gives you what you want and don't want. And then you go to a lawyer and get a divorce. Relationships, you know. Once I was very much in love with someone, and only once, of course. And my Indian father, Mr. Tiwari, had come to America. And I was going on and on and on about this woman. He was listening, take it, very good, very good. And when I finished, he looked at me and said, my boy, he said, relationships, they're business. He was married, he had a family. He said, relationship, do your business, he said. Do your business, enjoy. But love is what lasts 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Love is who we are. You don't get love, you don't give love, you don't fall in it, and you don't fall out of it. It's what's looking out of our eyes. Relationships are relationships. There's many wonderful things that we can have in relationships. Anxiety, depression, fear, sadness and shame, all these wonderful things we can have in a relationship. No, there's so many great things. We learn so much in relationships, really. But to think that love, real love, there's affection, of course, friendship, all kinds of other things. But love is something else. Real love is something else. Real love is who we are, and real love is what we want to find in a relationship. But that relationship would be with ourself, our true self, which is love. Sorry, that's the way it is. At least that's the way I think it is. Everything I'm saying today is my version. Just like you have yours, I have mine. So if you like it, good. If you don't like it, you know what to do. You don't have to believe me, you know. Just be nice. Yeah, is somebody?
How can we take this practice home and do it in our personal space? Should I put your songs and chants on Spotify and reply back to you, or do you have a better?
What was that?
Should I put your songs on Spotify or YouTube and reply to your chants?
You could buy a CD, goddammit. So I can pay my fucking rent.
I did attend the concert and
I do appreciate it, by the way. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Sure, you can. Why not? If something feels good, why not do it? Let Spotify go all day. Bye-bye. What's wrong with that?
I tried it and the effects were not the same at all as I felt it. Of course, with the presence of 600 people and sharing the energy and your presence and the other musicians.
So let me quote the third patriarch of Zen to you, okay? The great way is not difficult for those with no preferences. Hello. Yeah, you like this, you don't like this, who cares? You care? Why? So if you had a nice experience singing yesterday, and you want to hold on to that. How? How could you possibly hold on to that? But now is now. And it's a whole other experience right now. And because you like that, and you can have that, you feel bad right now. That's not, why would you do that to yourself? Which of course we all do. You like pleasure and you don't like pain. You like this and you don't like that. And because we don't know how to be with what is happening all the time, we feel bad when we don't get what we want. Spiritual practice is not like a drug that you take to have an experience. Last night, we planted many seeds last night. We were in an incredible space together, and in that space, we tasted something that we really felt good to us in a very deep way. Now, go find it again. That's your practice. But don't think that you're going to find some button to make it all happen right away. You might spend $1,000 and fly to New York and come to the church where I'm singing in November, and nothing will happen. There's no guarantees. You have to be with what's now, and you have to make the effort to release your thoughts and come back to the name again and again. You can't demand that you get a certain type of experience every time. Why would you do that? It's not going to happen. But through the practice of coming back to the moment again and again, we develop an extraordinary inner strength. And that inner strength saves us from getting lost in this or that or this or whatever's happening. We develop this very powerful inner strength that allows us to release things. So now you're experiencing some unhappiness that you can't find that space. I wonder how long you're going to feel this. How long are you going to allow this emotion to color your day and your life? And maybe you'll start throwing extra stuff in. You know, maybe when you go home in your car, you'll have an accident, you know, and then you'll get angry, and then you start piling more shit on top of it, you know, who knows what's going to happen. Let it go. Be now. Be here now. It's always here. But that's why we come together and do these practices as a group, because it generates that kind of powerful presence that we feel. And then it gives us a sense of direction. It's not a guarantee that you're always going to feel good. It's not about that. You know, you can't always feel good, but you are always here with whatever's happening. If you understand to allow yourself to do that, to be here. So, you start chanting and you think about last night. Yeah, it was so great. I wish I could. Oh wait, Sri Ram Deva. That's all. Maybe subconsciously you think you have to hold on to that in order to get it, but you can never grab it. You didn't get it by grabbing it in the first place. You got it by doing the practice. So, and that coming together with a large group of people is very good karmas for all of us. It can't be every day. Well, it could be every day, but it isn't, is it? We could be living in a little ashram in India where every day they sing. But then there's no TV and a lot of the other stuff that you have here that you must need, otherwise you wouldn't be here in your life, right? So the idea is to be with who you are and bring all this into your moment again and again. Not to be longing for something that happened in the past. Yeah.
Is repeating the name mentally in our head has the same effect as expressing them vocally?
I'm sorry, I can't.
When we're doing the chants,
Yeah.
does repeating them mentally has the same effect of saying them out loud?
Would they do it out loud or silently? Is that what you said?
Yes, does they have the same effect of like either saying them out loud or saying them in your mind only?
There are definitely lineages that talk about the importance of singing with a group of people out loud. And it's fairly logical. I mean, when you're singing with a group of people, when you forget that you're there, the person next to you is still singing, and that reminds you. And then when you're singing, you're hearing yourself, which means you're paying attention, you're hearing, and you're using your breath and your voice to repeat the name. And then you're helping somebody else remember because they just forgot, but you're singing. So there's many great benefits to singing with a group of people. But there's also great benefits to repeating the name silently. It's just not as easy to remember to do it. But on the other hand, if you're screaming at the top of your lungs in your apartment, you know your landlord's going to kick you out into the street, so that's not good. So you have to work with what you have. Silent repetition it can be very deep, but it's also more difficult because you're thinking all the time, And when we're playing instruments or singing or jumping up and down, we're more involved. Our bodies are involved, our breathing is involved, our voice is involved, we're hearing. There's more of us that we're involving in the moment, so it helps. But you have to be where you are and deal with what is, not with what you'd like to be, unless you decide to go do that. And then you'll miss the stuff here, so that's not going to work. So the main thing is to do something every day, really. Every day, do something. If you could give 5 good minutes a day where you turn your phone off and you just let yourself settle like a leaf coming from a tree. Don't think, and you get caught in the thought you're blowing the leaf around again. Let yourself settle, let yourself get here. Repeat one of the names or watch your breath. Something. Just disengage from the constant flow of yada yada that goes on in our daily lives. A little bit every day. It will grow you from the inside. Don't try to do 2 hours because you won't even get 1 minute. Yeah, I'm going to sit here for 2 hours. This is great. I set an alarm. Yeah, this is good. How much longer? Okay, 1 minute, 59 seconds. Okay. I can't even do 5 good minutes, even though I like to think I could, So maybe sometimes I can get 1.5 minutes in before I'm gone. But that's really, you got to be who you are, and deal with it and just keep giving yourself a break by doing some practice every day. It's only from the practice that you get some leverage to release the constant obsessive flow of thoughts and emotions that go on all life long, that never give us a break. We can't pick ourselves up like this. There's no leverage. From the practice, we get inner leverage to let go of those thoughts again and again and again. And gradually we sit more deeply in ourselves.
I would like to know if you have a mantra that really connects with you.
Me?
Yeah.
Why do you want to know?
I'm just interested.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, they're pretty much all the same, to tell you the truth. Yeah, as far as, there's mantras that I do more often than other mantras, but I couldn't tell you why. It just happens. The lineage that I come from is really the lineage of Hanuman and Ram. And so most of those names are, the name of Ram and Hanuman. Those are all used in that lineage more often than other names. Like, for instance, I don't have any songs, any chants to Ganesh. I don't know why. People ask me all the time. I say, I don't know why. He hasn't come to say hello yet. But Hanuman and Ganesh are very similar. They both are remover of obstacles and they, in the sense that they bring inner strength and stuff like that. At least that's what they say. So it's all pretty much the same to me, They're all the names of that love that I seek and I long for. And when I chant, all and any of the names, they bring me into the presence of that love, which is where I want to be. So, and I can't say that one works better than another. And sometimes none of them work because I'm all pissed off about something. So, but they all work the same way for me. But I do them all the time, so, you know, I mean, if you're not, yeah, so you can either do one or all of them, whatever works for you. Some people say, oh no, you have to find one mantra and only do that mantra. Okay. Other people say, you do what you want. Okay. They're both okay as far as I'm concerned. If you take an initiation from someone and they've given you a mantra and they say, this is your initiation mantra, and you've agreed to that relationship, then you should do that mantra. Unless you decide not to follow that relationship anymore, then find another one. I don't believe in being afraid of making mistakes, because all I've ever done in my life is make mistakes. So I'm so familiar with mistakes, if I didn't make them, I'd worry, you know. So you have to find out what works for you.
I have also one question, two questions, but I start with one.
Okay, that's good.
We, like you said, the spiritual work can also make the ego bigger.
Yeah.
And also when I chant, I realize that most important for me is asking myself for the motivation I have when I do something. And when I chant, beside the thing that I drift away and get back in contact with the moment, staying present and drifting away again, I ask also myself for the motivation and the deeper motivation. And the motivation could also be not singing only for myself, more like thinking about how other people think about my singing. May they get disturbed, or moreover, perhaps do they like it, or at the end, perhaps I sing to impress other people, and that of course would push the ego. And I would love to know if you have any techniques or ways how to deal with that.
That never happens to me. So I really can't help you.
All right.
Well, you know, when you chant, you're doing a spiritual practice. And if your motivation is not to do the practice, but to impress people, you know, that's a shame. It's too bad. Then you're certainly not doing any practice. So you're not going to get the benefits of practice. So you're hurting yourself. However, there is one little wrinkle, and that is they say that every single repetition of one of these names plants seeds within us. Even when we do it for fame and glory and money and whatever, even then, we're still, the name will bring, because there's nothing about these names that isn't positive and good. They're 100% good. There's no negativity that comes from any of these names. So even when your motivation is screwed up, you're still planting a seed. It may not grow for 300 million lifetimes, but you planted it. Now, if you plant it the right way, it might grow in 200 million lifetimes. So what's better? Anyway, just kidding. So yeah, you have to be aware of what your motivation is. You know, I mean, there are a lot of people who go around now and they lead chanting, but it's really just music to them. You know, and so they don't get the benefits of the practice. And they must not want the benefits of the practice either. They must want what they must want to play music. And so they are. So they're happy. But they're not getting they're not getting any closer to real love. And they must not be aware of the desire for that either. So there's nothing wrong. It's just a statement of who somebody is. So, one thing on the path that's important is to be honest with oneself, which is not easy, but it's a very important thing to be honest and sincere with oneself, and to be aware of the incredible layers of bullshit of the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. But the practice will lighten that up, will give us a way through that if we do it as a practice. If we do it for the sake of real love and not for the sake of our pride or our egos. But it's not so easy to know. It's not so easy. We're really good at fooling ourselves because we have so much experience doing that. That's all we do, all life long, basically. So that when you bring a practice into your life, it's not so easy to do it with the right motivation at the beginning. It's a ripening process of understanding what it's really all about. I don't know if you've read any of the books that I wrote or heard me talk before, but I started singing with people many years after my guru died, because I was so pissed off and so angry and depressed for so many years I couldn't sing with anybody, and I hardly sang at all. And then when I understood that I had to sing to save myself, even then I couldn't do it right, because I am who I am, and I had all that stuff. And I started singing with people, and I saw what was going to happen. I saw all the energy coming towards me, and all the people, and the whole thing. I saw it all. And I was horrified because I wanted that. And I couldn't not want that. It was me. How could I not be me, So I was screwed, because I was being prevented from doing the only thing that can save me. I was being prevented by me. There was nowhere to go with it. So, the only thing I could do, now Maharaji had been dead for 21 years at that point. I figured I would try to get his attention. So I started talking to him. I said, hey, you have to fix this. This is your problem. I'm singing to people in your name. Fix it or I ain't singing. Got it? Nothing happened. But to make a long story short, ultimately he did fix it. And I was able to keep singing, continue singing, because I had quit. I said, I'm not singing. I'm not doing it this way. This is not why I'm singing. I'm not doing it. I did it to try to reconnect with him from my side. He never left me, but I left him. And I needed to reconnect, and the chanting was the only thing that was going to do it. And I couldn't do it. All I was going to do was create more horror for myself, And I couldn't stand it. It was a terrible situation. Really. So, but my longing was sincere. I wanted that love. I wanted to be back in that love. More than anything. Even more than I wanted all those other things. Not that I didn't want them, but and so I had to really suffer for a while until it worked itself out. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
My question is, do you use the mantras in daily life? So do you think, okay, now I just have a judgmental thought, and you think about your guru and you chant inside of yourself, or yeah, how can you help yourself?
Yeah, well, one must do practice regularly over time. There's no way around that. Maharaj used to say to us, Ram Nam Karne Se Satguru Vidyata. In Hindi, that means from going on repeating these names, everything is accomplished. Everything is brought to fullness and completion. It's a ripening process. A fruit takes a certain amount of time to ripen. It doesn't ripen like that. And that's just nature. That's the way it is. So, and also you're talking about love. Unconditional love is something else. It's not an emotion. It's not something you feel now and don't feel later. Those kinds of the feelings come and go. They're emotions. They come and go. Loving someone, feeling good about oneself. Those are all emotional issues that come and go. Like clouds, they come and go, and they come and go, and they come and go. That's what they do. Real love is the sky that they're coming and going inside. So through practice, we gradually don't get so identified with our stuff. We unidentify with our stuff little by little, and we do expand into the real thing. So the idea is to keep doing some practice and do as little, create as little suffering as you can, to yourself or others. But there's no way to go through the day without being you and being your stuff, because that's where you are right now, where we are right now. But inside of where we are right now, we add the practice to it. The practice changes us. We don't change ourselves. You know, Ramana Maharshi said, if you ask the thief to be the policeman, there'll be a lot of investigation, but no arrest will ever be made. So you can't change you. The practice changes you. And the fact that you've chosen to do the practice is a good thing. It's a very good thing. But don't think that that means all of a sudden, you don't have to be involved, like, do I love this person or not, and I shouldn't get angry. That's also stuff you have to let go of, judging yourself. You know, I tell you the truth, I don't care so much how I feel. Is that weird? I don't, so I'm not happy, who cares? So I'm happy, yeah, that's nice. So I feel okay, good. I don't, okay. It's like, I'm not thinking about myself all day long. Like, how am I now? How am I now? This is good? I don't know. Well, how do I know? What do you think about it? Yeah, it's good. But what if it's not good? I don't know. You know, over time, those things just float away. You don't give yourself such a hard time. But that's the result of practice and the fruits of practice. So you have to do it. Stop thinking about it. Just be happy. I'm happy. I don't deserve happiness. Okay, get over that. So, you know, the practice from the inside changes everything. You know, it's like we were born with glasses on, with the wrong prescription. You know? And we're looking around, and everything's fuzzy and weird, but we don't think it's fuzzy and weird because it's all we know. Right? We were born like this. And then through practice and grace and practice and spiritual understanding and growth, those glasses self-correct. They slowly self-correct to the right prescription. And then all of a sudden, or actually little by little, what we see is different. What we see changes. We have less fear, less shame, less anxiety. We're more present with things. so people aren't so scary, so those trees don't look so weird at night. All that stuff changes from the inside out through the results of practice. To ask the thief to be the policeman, no arrest will ever be made. When you ask the ego to kill the ego, forget about it. Oh yeah, tomorrow we'll do that. Okay, in the meantime, just go have some more coffee. So we gotta learn to take it easy on ourselves, really. If we weren't giving ourselves such a hard time, 24 hours a day, nobody in the universe would be. We'd be, it wouldn't be like that. So, but we don't let up. We don't let up.
When you talk about your guru,
Yeah.
this divine presence becomes so alive in the moment. Can you share a few more stories about your time with him being in the body, that especially moments, teachings that really helped you to wake up and to become more of who you essentially really are?
Thanks for thinking I woke up. He was a very unusual being, is a very unusual being. He didn't give lectures, he didn't write books, he didn't initiate people, he just gave you more puris and potatoes than you could ever eat and told you to go away. He used to say, go away is my mantra. Ciao. People will come, take the train, then the bus, then walk, and they finally come and they bow in front of my heart and say, you come? Good, now go. Because he didn't need us there. He's everywhere. He didn't need us to be there. People always say to me, I wish I could have met him. And I say, no, you don't understand. We were the ones who wouldn't have made it if we didn't need him. You're obviously doing okay. That's the way I feel about him. I had a very difficult relationship with my mother. So, and I had been very sick. I was recovering from hepatitis. And one day I stayed in my room all day, living in the temple, because I wasn't feeling well. The next day, I come to Maharaji, and he looks at me and said, is your mother coming to India? No. Oh, okay. Then later that day, I get a message from the town. My mother's called from America. She wants to talk to me. So I took the bus, it's like an hour and a half ride. I went to town and I called the local operator, who called the town operator, who called the state operator, the county operator, who called the state operator, who called the country national operator, who called the international operator. That's how you made a phone call in those days. Now you just pick up your cell phone in the Himalayas and you can order a pizza. So the phone rings in America. My mother picks it up. I said, hi, Mom. I said, I want to come to India. So I said to my mother, if my daughter ever said this to me, I would lock her in a closet for the rest of her life. I wouldn't let her go anywhere. My mother said, I want to come to India. So I said to my mother, I have to ask my guru. So of course he already knew, because he had said that morning. So I went back to the temple and said, my mother wants to come to India. Tell her to come. Oh, shit. So she came. And she had this extraordinary look on her face. The whole time she was in India, it was like this. It was hilarious. I had to lead her on her hand. So when she came up to the mountains, I went and brought her. Have you ever heard of this city called Moradabad? It is the cesspool of the world. I think all the sewage from the whole universe goes to Moradabad. And so I've been in India almost 2 years already, and I obviously lost my whole perspective on life. So we were on the deluxe bus. The deluxe bus meant it had a cushion on the seat. The cushion was there for 340 years, but it was there. So we were on the deluxe bus to the mountains, and it stopped in Moradabad, and my mother wanted to go to the bathroom. So I said, oh yeah, it says ladies over there, you just go in there. So she walks into this bathroom, and she comes out in about 13 seconds. She said, I will never forgive you for this. There was like 3 feet of water, and with all the stuff crawling around it. Unbelievable. And then we went up to the mountains and went to see Maharaji. And he was very kind to her. I told her to bring a sweater for him, and she brought this sweater, and he put it right on, and he starts teasing the Indian devotees. You miserable people, you never bring me anything. Look at this woman, she brought me this beautiful sweater from America. Get out, yeah. They loved it, So anyhow, so we were there for about a week or so in the area, coming every day from the town. So the last day of Kenchi, we left Kenchi, and we walked out of the temple across the bridge, and the car was waiting to take us down to Delhi. So my mother reaches for the handle of the car door, and she just looks back down into the temple, as it's below the road across the river. And Maharaji was just sitting there like this, on the tucket. And she looked down, and she burst out crying like a baby. Completely fell apart. I had to catch her and help her into the car. And it was amazing. And she cried all for like an hour as the car made its way through the valley and down to the plains. And, that's what he did. That's what he did. He just, he opens your heart from the inside without a word being spoken or anything. All of a sudden, you fell apart, and because you tasted being home. You tasted being home. Another little story is, you must have heard that he took LSD. Have you heard that? Yeah. Ramdas, when the first time Ramdas came to India, one of the reasons he went to India because he wanted to find out what LSD is. He knew it changed his life, but nobody could tell him what it was, right? So there must be somebody in India who knows. So he was giving it to sadhus and chaiwalas and people and women. Nobody, some people liked it, some people didn't. So then he met Maharaji, and he had this experience where he just, once again, his heart opened and his life changed. So the next day he was with Maharaji, and Maharaji said, you have some medicine? And so he took out some aspirin. He thought Maharaji had a headache or something. And, no, the yogi medicine. Yogi medicine? It must be an acid. So, yeah, I have some. Give it to me. So he holds his hand out like this, and he has 4 hits of acid, really strong, pure acid. And Maharaji took all 4, threw them in his mouth. And they sat around all day, and nothing happened. This was a really big thing for Ramdas. I mean, that was enough acid to put a horse on the moon. Nothing happened. So, Ramdas came back to America, of course, and he told that story many times. But there were some people who said, oh, come on. Nobody could take that much acid. He just threw it over his shoulder. He scammed you. Now, Ramdas, he really believed that he took the acid. But you know, enough people started saying, ah, come on. So he had this much doubt, right? So we got sent, Ramdas and me and a couple other people, we got sent down to South India to do a yatra with Swami Muktananda, a pilgrimage. Because Ramdas had told him that he would do that, and so we all got sent to do that. On the way back from the south, we stopped at the temple in Vrindavan, and Maharaji was there. So we're sitting around with Maharaji. This is 2 years later after the first acid. So we're sitting around with Maharaji. I'm sitting, Ramdas is there, I'm right here, a couple other people. Maharaji said to Ramdas, when you were in India last time, did you give me yogi medicine? Ramdas said, yes. Oh, did I take it? Ramdas said, I think so. Oh, got any more? Yes. Give it to me. So, Ramdas put his hand out like this. Maharaji went like this. Four times. And then he goes, can I drink water? So he brought him some water. And a few minutes later, he takes his blanket. He always wore this blanket. He takes his blanket, pulls it over his head, right? And then he goes. Ramdas turned purple. And he thought, oh my God, he didn't take it the first time. And he knew I had doubts, so he was trying to prove to me he could take it. Oh no, I've killed my guru. The minute he thought that, Maharaji just stopped the whole game. He laughed. He said, ah. He said, yogis have known about this for thousands of years. They used to grow up in the Kulu Valley. And we sat around with them all day, nothing happened. Yeah. He said a yogi would go and he would do yama. In the yama, he would quiet his mind. He would quiet his body. He would bring his breath, quiet his breath. He would bring his mind to one point, then he'd take the soma and go through the door. Very nice. So Ashtanga Yoga might be a manual for taking psychedelics. That will get him in trouble. He didn't say it quite that way, but that was the idea. You have to go. The medicine worked best if your mind was quiet and you're at peace. And actually, so Ramdas had given me one hit of acid, which I had with me. So I asked Maharaji if I could take it. He said, yeah, you can take it when your mind is calm and you're in a quiet place. A cool place. A cool place. So one time I found myself up in the hills and my mind was calm, I was peaceful, and it was cool, so I dropped the acid and I fell asleep I fell asleep for like 12 hours and I woke up and nothing happened. But I don't think it was the same nothing. Just with bad, it was bad acid, that's all. It's so rare to meet someone that you trust, whose heart you trust completely. It's so rare in this world. Because everybody wants something, you know? And if anybody wants anything, there's always a feeling, there's something holding back. But with Maharaji and with these great saints, the only thing they want is for you to be happy. They already have everything. They've already become everything. There's nothing left for them to do, nothing left for them to attain. And they stay here only for one reason, for us. So we know what might be possible. So, don't give up. Don't give up. Go for it. Go for your dreams. Don't lose hope. If you don't go for it, nothing will happen. So go after the things you want in life. You remember the words from last night? Rama Lakshman Janaki, Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki. No, okay. Rama, Lakshman, Janaki, Jai Bolo, Hanuman Ki. That's it. Shri Guru Charanam Sarojala Jijamano Mukuru Sudha Bharakubhare Himalachasya Jodhaiku Avachara Buddhi Tanajan Ke Sunyaram Pavanakuma Siyama Alabuddhi Ved Ehumani Kadaru Kalesa Vikan Swaramachandra Jai Hanuman Nasa Jai Kapishti Hoga Amrita Tulta Ajani Yes. If we know anything about path at all, if we know that there might be a way to live in this world in a good way, with an open heart and without fear, it's only because of the great beings that have gone before us. Out of their love, out of their kindness, they left some footprints for us to follow. So, in the same way that they wish for us, in the same way that they wish for us, we wish that all beings everywhere, all of us, be safe, be happy, but all of us have good health and enough to eat. And may we all live in peace and at ease of heart, at ease of heart with whatever comes to us in life. Shanti means peace. Peace beyond understanding. When we know who we are, when we live in the love that lives within us, then we are peace. May we all be that. Shanti, Shanti.